Having spent the weekend in Granard, Collins returned to Dublin on Monday, November 28th. His journey eastward was a cold one, and he wrote to Kiernan on his arrival back in the capital.
Kitty dearest, we got back safely, an uneventful journey. Got some hot milk at Maynooth, badly wanted. It's a mistake to start a journey without taking something hot these days. Of course, there is nothing to be said except that, as usual after those visits, I'm inclined to be very sorrowful and very severe on myself, but I can't help it now. I'm greatly afraid you see the worst side of me. That, alas, is a characteristic of mine. I've explained it to you often, though, so you'll know what it is. Curious thing happened today. Just after Pat McRae left us, he was running for furious driving, probably out by this time. I visited him in College Street Police Station. Very funny. Hope you won't be too busy today, that you'll find time to write a line. When did you get up? Were you more or less tired than you were yesterday? Less, I do trust. Don't know yet whether I'm really returning tonight, but I suppose I shall have to. Goodbye, dear. Fondest love, Micheál.
In Dublin, De Valera continued to try and referee an ugly dispute between Brua and Mulcahy regarding control of the IRA. This obviously impacted upon Collins, as he and Brua shared a mutual dislike of each other. Back in Britain, Griffith and Duggan journeyed to Chequers to make their last proposal for external association. Lloyd George effectively told them that their concerns that Ireland would not have the same de facto status as other dominions did not require the solution of external association, but rather a specific commitment to such a status within the treaty itself. Collins was back in London on November 29th, and rising early the following morning, he wrote to Kiernan.
Kitty dearest, I read over all your letters again last night, and I started writing to you sitting up in bed, but I had to give it up. Positively, I was too worn out to write legibly. It was much worse than the production I turned out one night very late in Dublin. Do you recall that one? Even so, I was up at 7:30 and I'm feeling as well and as vigorous as it is possible to feel. Don't worry about my rest. It's really all right. You know my maxim. It's better to wear out than to rust out. That's really the important essential point, isn't it? I'm writing this early before anyone has started here. I went to St. Mary's, lit a candle for you, came back, had breakfast and started this before 9. What do you think of that? Here's the thing. I really and truly loved that suit of yours, but I was not in just the proper form on Sunday night to express my liking for it, or indeed to appreciate it fully. I'd like you to know this. Do you like it? I mean this note. Believe me, I can understand your feelings about that weekend, and I know how miserable the stress of my appointments must make the time for you, but how can I help it? I don't have a minute more than you know of. If you can realise this, what does it matter if people do make suggestions like you say they did? I don't find it very agreeable sometimes, I assure you, and I don't find the forced absence very pleasant, but then it has to be seen through. You scarcely understand my way of thinking and of doing things. I'm not demonstrative, except in showing my temper sometimes, and I hate demonstrative indications of feeling. I mean before people. They stand somehow in my mind for a kind of insincerity that always makes me say the yes of mine when I hear people at it. It may not be a pleasant way and it may not appeal to people, but there you are. It's there, and I'm afraid there it will remain. It really means that I'm on the side of those who do things, not on the side of those who say things. And that's that. That's enough, I think. You won't find this letter interesting. I'm greatly afraid, but I'm in a very troubled state of mind this morning. Troubled about many things. About you among them. First among them in my own personal mind. Do you grasp that? I'd never forgive myself if I made your life unhappy. Little wrongs I may have done people never cease coming back to my mind, let alone a matter of that kind. This is a side that perhaps you could not regard as being there, but it is there. I was expecting a letter last night. Called to my sister's place, nothing there. However, I don't intend putting the 2-day rule into operation until tomorrow, at the earliest. Slán Lat for today. Fondest love, Micheál.
Collins was troubled and wanted to do right by his intended. It was while in that state of mind that he, Griffith and Duggan met with Lloyd George, Birkenhead and Chamberlain at Downing Street. They were informed that the British would present their final terms to James Craig and the Irish delegation on Tuesday, December 6th. The Irish delegation argued that they should receive them first, and the British agreed. They would informally present the Irish with their terms on the following evening, December 1st.